if you show a kid a book, like, okay, here's this thing about a slave, probably not going to get read.
Exactly.
If you show them a really well-drawn comic book. And so I think you have something that, is hopefully viral.
Caleb Miller here at San Diego Comic-Con 2025 with Den of Geek, and I'm here with the creative team behind Defiant, the story of Robert Smalls. How are we doing, fellas?
Oh, we're doing great.
Great.
How you doing? Thanks for having us.
Of course. It's a pleasure having you guys here. My first question, I want to talk to Chris. I know that fan interaction is very big within your company, and this is even a crowdfunded project. What has that response been like so far from the fandom?
I can speak on behalf of Legion M that this is easily our most important project that we've done as a company. This project came from our community. It was spread virally through our community. That's the origin story for this project. So getting it from the point of we should do this as a company, because we're the largest fan-owned company for developing and producing films right now. That's what we do. And so to have a project that came from that community go through the whole process, the sausage making, I'll say, and get to the point where we are now. I mean, we're going to talk about that, I'm sure, today, but we're in such a great place with this project. So the fan response has been tremendous. This is something that's talked about all day, every day on our socials. Fans show up, we have events. This is a big priority for us. So it's been huge.
Yeah, 100%. And I think that, we saw with the first week that it came out, sold out immediately, 15,000 copies. It was a very big start. And my next question, Rob, I want to ask you, you wrote for Captain America 4 and also on this upcoming. What is that responsibility like, tackling those two Black American icons, one fictional and one non-fictional?
Well, that's the thing. Yeah. I think if you had asked me to do this like in 2000 before I did Treasure Planet, I would have said no.
Right.
But now, like with Treasure Planet, Prince and the Frog, Cap 4, this is the right time. And a story like this needs to be told in a dynamic way. The legacy deserves to be carried on in a great way. And so I feel like this is a good, there's nobody who's going to take it more with more, seriousness than me. So I've just really enjoyed it. I've enjoyed getting to know the character, getting to know the family, and this tremendous story.
Yeah, of course. My next question, obviously, I want to ask you, what does this mean for you, this piece of legacy being given to us and on this big platform now?
Yeah, it's humbling. It's an enormous honor. Legion M is just a fantastic company that is really forward-thinking in the way that it does its business in crowd sort of sourcing. Its investment and building really groundswell of fandom for the project. And the team is just superlative. It's an amazing team. And, I joke sometimes this guy knows more about my family than I do. So that's the degree to which he's really, put pencil to paper to research this thing. And just, the guys, it's a tremendous project. The graphic novel is insanely creative and just can't wait to see what's next.
Yeah, big community. You definitely feel that when reading the book too. Marvin, I really wanted to ask you, you've been a part of two different comic book properties, and you're now coming into this kind of from a different angle. What do you feel like brought you to this, and what do you think you can bring to this project as a producer?
Well, I have to give credit to Chris here, bringing me in. I've been knowing Chris a long time. And also, one of my mentors and big brothers, Bill Duke, who's not here with us, was also a producer on the film. First exposed me to the project. I was a little ashamed that I didn't know who Robert Smalls was at the time. But I think many are going and having that experience as well as we roll this thing out. And for me, it's always been important to tell stories or be a part of stories. I've been privileged and blessed to be a part of stories that have an impact, especially for Black people in our community from a fictitious standpoint and a superhero standpoint. And now to be a part of something like this that is telling true American history, Black history. Robert Smalls is, I've said it many times, I'll say it again, he is a real life superhero, especially for us as a people in our culture and for America overall. It's important to make sure the story gets told. People always ask me, well, are you gonna, because I'm, acting is my day job. And they always ask me, are you gonna act in it? And I don't think that's the purpose or point for me, particularly on this project, to be in it. If there's somewhere for me to be, I'll be in it. But my purpose is to make sure and be a part of a team of people that see the importance of telling the story, a story that's never been told, and that's a true story.
And this story is so unlike many other stories that they tell in this kind of way. I think you spoke about dynamicism, and there's so much of that in this graphic novel. I think the art style and visual tone is so strong. What have the conversations been like coming into this live action adaptation and bringing that same flair to the historical aspects?
Yeah, well, that's the thing. It's like, here's a real life superhero. And tell it like it's a superhero, right? So the graphic novel became a quick thing because, if you show a kid a book, like, okay, here's this thing about a slave, probably not going to get read.
Exactly.
If you show them a really well-drawn comic book, and the art is fantastic. Ray Anthony Height did the covers. Nick Draper Ivory did a bunch of the iconic cover and a bunch of others. Sean Damian White is there. The team from Stranger Comics really went above and beyond to do this. And so I think you have something that is hopefully viral, that, you can give to a kid, the kid will give it to somebody else, and off you go. And that's the best part is sharing this story that so few of us know about, but everybody really should.
Right, yeah, 100%. I mean, I know I found myself reading this book and dumbfounded. I'm like, I'm not sure this is a real story. I'm like, oh my goodness, it's
now all
nowhere.
Research to within an inch of its life.
Right.
There were even stories that, like, I was, because history, with Black history especially, the slaves were illiterate, so they didn't write their own. They're like, my dear Clementine, I'm on the battlefield. There's none of that. So you're only seeing like what happened in the newspapers, what happened on, in census data and stuff. And every so often there would be like a little gap, and I would call Michael and say, hey, I think this is what he was doing. Run this up the tree and see what happens. And he would call back and say, oh, my grandmother said, oh, this is exactly what happened, and thanks for doing it. So that's what's fun, is sharing that and seeing the reactions of people like you and people that are reading it. I can't wait for more.
Yeah, for sure. And I know you're bringing this to live action, and that's a pretty big deal for this story. What have any casting, any directors, what have the conversations been like for that so far?
For a studio of for fans by fans, I'd love to hear what people think. Who should be playing Robert Smalls? Who should be playing his mom, his wife? The other two guys on the ship. Big Al and and Abram. I think that there are really great parts out there for people. So that part of it, I'm looking forward to seeing.
I can comment on that because we kind of, when we first started this project, it was exactly that. It was a screenplay. We're shopping it to Hollywood. That's what our minds were set on that. So it started with actually a script. And honestly, when we brought Rob in, we were trying to understand like how to actually move this forward with all of his experience with Disney and everything that he's done. And the idea to turn it into a graphic novel, to create a core audience, to show that there's an audience for this project, that was a step back from us. So because Legion M doesn't make, graphic novels. This is our second one, but we make movies, right? And so I think that was such a crucial point in the project, was to pursue the graphic novel pathway. And since then, to answer your question, we have had, Marvin and I, Paul, Rob, all of us have had conversations with some of your favorite actors, your favorite actresses, your favorite directors, all asking about how can I be involved. When it's time, call me. We had an hour conversation with someone who has a series right now that is doing great, and we had an hour conversation on that person wanting to play Robert Smalls, and we don't want to get ahead of ourselves because the process. You bring in the director, and then you start going after talent. You don't bring in the talent first, typically. So we're following that. It's in good hands, but we're trying to keep the secrets where they need to be kept.
And that's actually one of the fun things about this project, is that even when we were looking at artists, nobody said no. Everybody said yes and when.
Right.
Sign me up, let me do it.
Yeah.
And the same is happening with talent around town. I think everybody knows how special this project is going to be. And so that's the excitement.
Yeah, I mean, hey, there's even some that don't know how special this is about to be if they haven't read that book yet, honestly. Here at San Diego Comic-Con 2025 from Den of Geek, this has been the creative team behind Defiant, the story of Robert Smalls.